Blackhawks are trying to rebound from a week of turmoil and controversy. Locked On Blackhawks, Jack Bushman joins us to discuss how that franchise is dealing with the mess that it's dealt with over the last week. That coming up next on the Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Gil Martin here on the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast. And right now it's my pleasure to welcome Jack Bushman of Locked On Blackhawks, who's been dealing with a lot of things this past week, to say the least. First, want to thank everybody for making Locked On NHL your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. And Jack, how are you today?
I'm doing all right, Gil. It was a good Halloween weekend. I hope it was a fun one for you as well. Just unfortunately, Chicago Blackhawks are still dealing with both problems on and off the ice. So it's been a little bit frustrating, man, but here we are.
Let's start with the off the ice things. And we've already heard a lot of discussion about what happened 11 years ago and how the team did or did not deal with it at that time. How is all of this affecting the locker room and the atmosphere around the team right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not making life easier for anyone, especially when you're not winning right now, too. Everyone's frustrated about everything. It's tough for these players because they were just little kids, most of them, when this happened. Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane are the only two that still remain from that 2010 Stanley Cup team. So it's just tough on these kids right now. They're dealing with a lot of scrutiny, both on and off the ice, and they've answered the questions and, talked about it with as much respect. And as tough as it is, they have to answer these questions from the media, even though it wasn't them that caused this problem 10 years ago. So it definitely has been difficult, and the players haven't shied away from saying that either. But unfortunately, they just got to kind of do their best to, when they're on the ice, focus on that. And I know that's probably easier said than done right now with how difficult this situation is, but it's definitely playing an impact on the players. And clearly, we're still without a win here after dropping both games over the weekend. So I definitely feel that it's weighing on these kids right now, and it's tough when it wasn't their fault, but they're the ones that have to deal with the after effect now because of all the bad people that ruined this organization and stained it forever.
You mentioned Toews and Kane being the only two players who were there then. How is the situation different for them, especially since they're expected to be leaders on this team and maybe they didn't show that leadership back in 2010?
That press conference they had on Sunday, it was tough to listen to, honestly. And I understand that Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane were trying to show respect to Stan Bowman, who always did them well throughout his time. But Sunday, that day wasn't about Stan Bowman or what he did to Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane to help them. No, it was all about what he didn't do to help out Kyle Beach. And just to hear that Patrick Kane, I thought, didn't dance on the line as far as Toews did, but Toews kind of just said some uncaptain-worthy things, which out of Jonathan Toews, I mean, most people feel that he's, usually a good leader, but in this situation, I don't know how he could say Stan Bowman was a good man after, especially this was an hour after Kyle Beach just dropped that TSN interview. So I get what they were trying to do, but they just got to read the room better and know that they can't praise a man for what he did in this organization. He didn't let this happen for 11 years, never did anything about it, never made the right call. You can't show respect to someone like that, especially on such an important day for Kyle Beach and all the survivors out there as well. So it was a little discouraging to see both those two tenured players kind of go that path when they first spoke with the media about this.
Do you think this undermines the captaincy at all?
I don't know. It's a weird situation. And I think it's tough with the young kids because this is still a pretty young Blackhawks team. I know we went out and got a lot of different pieces, but there's still a lot of young kids who have looked up to Jonathan Toews since they've been here. You know, as I said, a lot of people felt he was one of the best leaders in all of sports, not just hockey. I don't know what's going on, and obviously I don't want to touch on that because I'm not in the locker room. I'm not having those conversations, and I don't know how they're feeling. But it was definitely a situation where I think everyone who read Jonathan Toews' comments were like, what is this guy doing right now?
What about the fan base? What has their reaction been, and how are they handling things going forward?
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. You know, I'm hearing people that want nothing to do with Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane ever again. People don't want to watch the Blackhawks. And I understand. However, I'm not going to argue with anybody about how they feel about all of this. Fans booing, I completely understand it. Not going to games, I get it. It's just tough when, you know, this is all coming down so fast, and it's just unfortunate that this is the situation that the fans have been left with for this team, the team that they loved, a team that revitalized sports in Chicago. And as I said earlier, it's now forever going to be stained. So I completely understand each and every fan's frustration right now. And with the way the Blackhawks are playing on the ice too, I think the attendance numbers are definitely going to continue to drop here in Chicago. I would not be surprised at all if this is going to be a struggle in that area for them this season.
And you did mention on the ice so far, the team is winless. I mean, how do they regroup and turn it around after such turmoil and understandably so? You know, from an on the ice perspective, what can this team do?
The $1 million question, Gil. I think, you know, every time they go out there, I say, they can't lose again, right? They're not going to lose all of their first 9 games. And here we are. I mean, we've had one lead this year through those 9 games. It took them 7 to even grab one at first. So yeah, I keep thinking to myself, you know, maybe this is the night that this team finally starts to click. That's yet to happen. And I don't know if it's the message that Colleton is sending. The players obviously aren't going to go and call him out to the media, but they're saying that this is a player's problem. This isn't all on Jeremy Colleton. And I think it's just a combination of both. The players on the ice need to be more efficient. They need to be producing more than they have, certainly at even strength. Blackhawks have mustered up nothing all year at 5-on-5. And then I think the combination of obviously what's going on around the team right now, I think there's just a lot of weight on everybody's shoulders, and it feels like a bubble that is just, it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's bursting, and we're in the midst of it right now. So as I said, the $1 million question, Gil, I think they just need to find a way to put together a strong 60-minute effort and be the better team at even strength. You know, if you're getting outscored and outchanced every night at even strength, you're not going to win very many games, and that's what the Blackhawks have let happen to them so far. So game number 10, maybe the first W. I have no idea. Not if they keep playing the way they have so far this season, though.
How big a relief will it be when that first W does finally get there?
Honestly, it almost feels still irrelevant in the city of Chicago right now. The on-ice stuff just doesn't feel important at the moment, to be honest, Gil. That's all I can really say.
Do you think there's anything this franchise can do? I mean, they've talked about taking the offender's name off the Stanley Cup, but is there anything else that this team, this organization can do to try to win back the confidence of the fans? Forget the hockey aspect of it, just after what happened.
Yeah, I think I hope that the Wirtz family and all the ownership group continue to go about this right way. They requested to get Bradley Aldrich's name off of the Stanley Cup. That was a right step. I'm still not sure what's going on in court. I've heard a bunch of back and forth discussion about whether or not the Blackhawks, if they're going to take this to court, if they're looking for a settlement. I just hope to see them take all these next steps, take all of the right next steps. That's what they can continue to do. And if for the people who went through the full 107-page report, as tough as it was, the Black & Jenner law firm found out that the Wirtz family did not know anything about this. So to see them handling this the right way, at least so far, and hopefully they'll continue to do so, I think that's really all we can do right now, unfortunately. I wish they would have done more 10 years ago, 11 years ago now, and that's the only way that this honestly would have been fixed. And they dropped the ball when they needed to come up with the proper response the most. They fell completely flat.
Yeah, no question about that. Want to talk briefly about DirecTV Stream? Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbors, best friends log in for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all the entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. Jack, I want to thank you for doing this. I know this has not been an easy week for you. Why don't you tell our listeners where they can find your podcast, where they can find you on social media, and how they can keep up with this very difficult story?